and they didn't know about all of their tribal identities of West Central Africa and all the many different languages there. But they were grasping for something other than simply integrating and conforming to white Euro norms. And that was what was going on. And we see the same thing. And these folks were in conversation with each other, especially in the San Francisco Bay Area. A lot of interaction between Aimsters and Black Panthers and other hipsters. I was a teenager then and hung out with everybody and before I left California when I was 18. And okay, a little bit more, you know. How am I doing? I'm way out of line, out of time or something like that. Okay, I'm going to wrap this up.
11:30? And so then we have time.
Okay, I want to take questions too. So this is going to be like a super fast slideshow thing going on here. But these folks were gathered in D.C. after the longest walk. A lot of celebrities here, you see. Only one woman, a native woman, Buffy St. Marie. There's Muhammad Ali. Dick Gregory just died. He was a super radical guy that a lot of people don't know about. Look him up. Richie Havens died a couple of years ago. Floyd Westerman a few years ago, I guess. And Marlon Brando's dead now. Stevie Wonder's still alive. Okay, there you go. Buffy's still alive. She lives in Hawaii. Buffy St. Marie, a Cree woman from Canada, a great folk singer. She was in the New York folk music scene, but stayed connected to her cultural roots, and one of the few people to sing on Native issues in the 60s. Yeah, wonderful person. Okay. Hey, there's the Charcusta. Had to put that in there because, so bringing it to the present and to our issues now, Earth first, you know, that social change, reform, usually is a gradual process, a slow evolutionary process to correct wrongs, and that's understandable. And it makes a lot of sense if things were still normal. We're in an emergency situation now. The proper channels, as they say, you know, work through the government that's consciously trying to exploit every last part of the earth they can without regard to who lives or who dies. You're going to work through those channels. So it's time to create alternative communities. And that's part of what the Idle No More movement and the anti-tar sand demonstrations and the anti-pipeline is all about. And Standing Rock was a big manifestation of this. It was more than just a protest site. It was an alternative community. And some people didn't plan on it ever ending, you know. And last point, because I'm out of time, I got a couple more slides I got to show. But anyway, what we're saying, so many of us are saying, and we're working towards, and it's not going to happen as fast as you want it to, of course, but hopefully fast enough so that the Earth systems don't just completely collapse, is create sustainable alternative communities and economics, boycott the larger system, have true sovereignty. I'm saying this all real fast, a lot faster than I was going to say it, but this is what a lot of us are working towards. Some of us are saying, starve the black snake. Create, the black snake being the oil pipelines, create alternative energy forms. It's going to take a lot of discussion about what can you give up and what must be continued. And indigenous people are at the forefront of this movement for the earth internationally, worldwide. Climate March, Indigenous Peoples Climate March 2014 in New York, 2015 in France, and you can't see this photo too well, but in there are some Brazilian Amazon people who are fighting their own battles, and some of them, they even brought one of the ancient canoes across to France, and they're fighting to save one of the biggest natural resources and carbon sinks of the world, the Amazon forest, and so they're blockading roads just like we were blockading tar sands equipment on those megaloads in Missoula, and they're doing it up in their homeland. So, and many of the tribes of South America, I just thought I'd point out real quick, are mixed Afro-Native people too. You can see it. I'm not going to walk up to somebody and tell them oh, you're part African like me too, huh? I don't do that anymore. People get upset sometimes when you do that. They don't all think like Jack Forbes, Last image. Okay, good place to end. I got a couple more. The original 1960, February 1st, 1960, sit-in protesters at the Woolworth lunch counter in Greensboro, North Carolina. If you study the civil rights movement, that's like one of the landmarks right there, because all kinds of youth sit-in protests happened after these guys. These 4 college freshmen, one wasn't even 18 yet. This guy, what a difference. Suit, tie, nice hat, when he's a 17-year-old civil rights protester, and then he kind of dreadlocked out in the 60s and had dreads going down to his ankles almost. Anyway, he married my cousin, a Wampanoag woman, and Lorraine. And there's Barb and our grandkids. And I found this photo just yesterday, Barb. I think he cut his dreadlocks. Unless he's got them hiding, when you see how he rolls them up on the top of his head, he might be hiding under that hat. But Jabril Kazan, if you ever get to New Bedford, Massachusetts, part of the Mississauga Wampanoag homeland, what a amazing character. He's had a heart for the love of humanity all of his life. He has no sense of time, which I'm trying to learn, but he'll stop anywhere on his way to any kind of meeting. He's always late because he stops to talk to people, and he cares about each person he stops to talk to. Well, I just thought I'd show you that. Okay, I have to stop sometime. There's another cousin who teaches the Wampanoag language. Okay, I'm going to take questions for as long as you can stay. I realize a lot of you have classes to go to and schedules. Don't feel bad if you have to leave. Yes.
What's your name?
My name's George Price.
George Price?
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
What's your name?
David Velarde.
Oh, did I meet you before? I've heard your name before.
Well, I used to work with the movement
Yeah.
in Oakland,
Yeah.
and we attended the trial of Pee Wee Newton.
Yes.
Remember when he had gun charge?
Yeah. Yeah, I remember all that. Yeah.
And I seen one of those pictures. And I said, oh, that looks familiar.
Yeah, it kind of brings back memories.
Bill Wapapaw out of Oakland.
Oh, yeah. Well, maybe we can talk after we're done here. We'll have some snacks. Yes, Alyssa. How are you doing? Good to see you. Go ahead.
I had a question. There's like this new ideology that's kind of coming out about the copper-colored skin movement kind of thing. Have you heard of that? Where they're saying like the Native Americans aren't really the original Americans. Have you heard of any of it?
There's all kinds of junk on the internet, and I did maybe come across some. There's a guy on the internet that says Africans were the first Americans. Is it the same guy?
Yeah.
Yeah, okay.
Because you were talking about how
Well, that's part of it probably, but you know, you also have people who just have egos, and they want to come out and pretend like they know something, you know. And I only have so much time. I can't argue with every whack job I see on the internet. I hate to call people names like that, but I mean some of them are, you know. And yeah, what's that one?
A lot of them are.
Yeah, you know, and a lot of that's driven by ego and the star mentality of American culture. Everybody wants to be a star or something. Yeah, okay. Any other questions come up for anybody? Things you're wondering about? Yes, David. Yeah.
How active is the Black Panther Party in Oakland nowadays?
I think they may be non-existent. I don't know. There might be a revived new Black Panther Party. Seems like I heard something like that. Their programs for feeding neighborhood kids and all of that were pretty much taken over by other organizations, local organizations, and I don't know if they're doing anything anymore. Yeah. But I haven't lived in California since 1970. Yeah. And I just barely keep in touch with people. Yeah, okay. Anybody else? Well, thank you. Oh, yeah, one more. Okay, we got time for one more.
Yes.
Okay.
So
Yes.
in your professional opinion, it would be better for us as a society to move back to a more food sovereign nation where we can like grow more of our own foods.
Yes, and I say not only for indigenous tribal nations, but local communities. There's this larger grow local, recycle, reuse movement that can bring the destructive system down, that can create the potential for a worldwide boycott. It'd have to be international, but it has to start locally. And it'll involve lots of discussions, lots of modeling, because people don't just accept you by your words. They want to see these types of societies that we're talking about. We have to create the models, and there are people working on that now, indigenous people, non-indigenous people. You can contact me on the internet. I've got a blog called Learning Earthways, and I'm also on that Facebook, but I'm trying to stay away from that a little more. It's a time suck. I gotta ignore it sometimes. Anyway, things are going on in Missoula. Up here, we've got the food sovereignty program going out of Arlee. Patrick's got one right here on this campus. Tell everybody what you're doing, Patrick. Oh, I didn't mean to put you on the spot, but something's going on, right?
And I care a lot about food sovereignty and trying to influence tribes to invest in themselves and their own infrastructure, to be able to own their own food systems, to be able to supply enough foods for their tribal members. This area, as we all know, has a lot of natural resources. So being able to utilize these resources in a sustainable, indigenous, sovereign way is my goal. And I wrote a business plan, and it involves professional, educated individuals like George to be able to come teach this stuff to a growing population of people who are interested in this.
Yeah, but it's for everybody, you know. Thanks, Patrick. That's awesome. And so there are other folks working on this. Your councilwoman, Shelley Fyant, is one of the leaders. And it's more than just the food. It's taking charge of our own health. Don't depend on this Western medicine, pill-pushing, radiation-spreading industry that calls itself a health industry. I'm sorry, folks. Some people have been healed of that by those things, but the net effect of it all, getting people hooked on pharmaceuticals, and instead of tackling the root of cancer, these toxic chemicals everywhere, they'll just put some radiation and more chemicals on you to extend your misery. That's what they did. They gave my mom 9 more years. That weren't very good years, you know, before she died of cancer, you know. And I'm talking too much. Yes, I am. Yes, go ahead.
Yes, the pharmaceutical companies,
Yeah.
that's along the lines of follow the money.
Yes.
If you've watched any news broadcast, all the commercial breaks are pharmaceutical companies.
Yeah, I every now and then I will watch that stuff, and I'd say 50 to 70% of the advertisement is pharmaceutical products with more disclaimer in the ad than actual good information about their products. Oh, they're saying, watch out for this danger and that one, and you know, because we don't want to get sued. Is that life? People, please don't yield to this stuff. We have a choice.